Hello and welcome to Awful Commentary. So today, Steve, we're going to talk about our top 5 anti-heroes.
We are.
These are people, they're not the good guys, but they're certainly not the villains either. They have a strong moral stance, but they use questionable methods to achieve their goals.
Yes, certainly. No Captain Americas are going to be around today.
Or will there? So first on our list, Steve, is the Punisher, Frank Castle. Frank was a Special Forces Green Beret in the Vietnam War, and when he came back, he was having a nice picnic with his family in Central Park. It was all very picturesque. Until a mob crossfire slaughtered his family and drove Frank to the edge of insanity. It was a dark time, and on that day he declared himself the Punisher and that he would rid the city of New York of all crime. So what makes the Punisher different to other heroes, Steve? If nothing else, just the sheer force that he is willing to use in his quest for justice. He's known in the Marvel Universe as the most successful mass murderer in American history, which doesn't sound like it's anything particularly heroic, but he will only kill you if you are criminal scum. The Punisher's relationships with more conventional heroes are pretty varied, to say the least. He idolizes Captain America, but is despised by Daredevil, who sees him as the enemy in all things, Daredevil being a lawyer by day, superhero by night, while Frank is just a killer of all kinds. He occasionally works with the more street-level heroes, such as Spider-Man, but should he ever be meeting with them, there's always a no-killing policy.
Okay.
He is also a favourite of Nick Fury, who sees him as a more brutal means to get things done.
I could see how that relationship has formed.
What good things has the Punisher done? Who can say, except for all of the dead criminals lying in his wake. He's taken down swathes of crime families, taken down masses of drug traffickers, child traffickers. He kills everyone who people like the Avengers don't have time to deal with. Without the Punisher, there would be a massive crime that just wouldn't get dealt with in the city of New York.
What bad things has he done then?
Pretty much the murder of everyone. It depends, if you think that killing criminals at all costs is not the best thing to do, then the Punisher is much more of a villain. But his stance on crime still makes him possibly the most popular anti-hero in comics today.
Second on our list is Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, who was Captain America's sidekick during the war, who tragically dies, but doesn't, who is actually found and picked up by the Russians and turned into one of the greatest assassins the world has ever seen.
Damn Russians.
I know. And he's kept in cryogenic stasis between each mission, and he also had all his memory wiped.
Oh.
The Winter Soldier isn't like other heroes in the fact that he starts off as a villain before eventually becoming a hero. And because of that villainous origins, he isn't afraid to kill anybody. Doesn't matter. Doesn't bother him at all. And he'll use any means necessary to get the job done. Frequently that'll be with a gun, but he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. His greatest relationships with the other heroes are with Cap and with Black Widow, who he actually trains during his time in Russia. And then later, when he becomes a hero, they have a little bit of a relationship going on.
Ooh.
Exactly. And then, again, Cap, who obviously he was training with and he was the sidekick with during the war. And it's Cap who brings him from the darkness into the light. And then, upon Cap's untimely death, this is when Bucky decides to pick up the mantle and truly embrace becoming a hero and becoming Captain America. Having been under the control of the Russians through large parts of his life, he did some pretty bad things. There are plethora of influential and important people throughout history that the Winter Soldier is removed from society, and also kind of killed Wolverine's wife. This effectively orphans Wolverine's son, Daken. But Bucky has done a lot of good things, taking the mantle of Captain America at a time when it was illegal to be an unregistered superhero, continuing to fight the good fight and keeping the memory of Steve Rogers alive. Even though he's no longer Captain America, he's still doing the right thing. Even though now he's doing that from the shadows again instead of from the Stars and Stripes uniform of Captain America. But he's using all the skills that he's learned from his time as an assassin, combined with the correct moral compass that he learned from being Captain America.
Number 3 on our list is John Constantine. Constantine is nowhere near a traditional hero, going by normal heroic standards, in that he never does anything even remotely heroic. Everything he does is usually pretty self-centered, and if he saves people,
Brucey bonus?
it's also pretty rare in the original Constantine comics that he'll even come across another hero, let alone have a relationship with them. In the more modern retellings, he's teamed up with other magical heroes to form the Justice League Dark, who are a group of corrupt and weird magic heroes who fight together to prevent magical disasters from destroying the world, but always end up just making things a little bit worse. So the good things that John Constantine does are usually quite accidental, or for his own benefit. So he's often slays a large demon or destroys the devil, but if he does do something like that, it's usually because they've threatened his life, rather than the world needs saving. Whereas the bad things that he's done mostly involves the death of everybody that he's ever loved and cared about. That's, you know, as the bad things go, that's usually pretty up there.
So how does this make him grey then, or ambiguous?
Well, Constantine is certainly not a hero, but the world has more to thank him for than they will ever know, even if the people that he loves will damn him for eternity.
Our fourth person?
Venom. Now, it seems like a bit of a controversial choice, Venom, because Venom comes from an alien symbiote, which Spider-Man uncovers during the Secret Wars storyline and brought back to Earth. The symbiote enhances its host's strength and power, but also corrupts them and leads them to a darker side. Spider-Man threw off the symbiote and it attached itself to Eddie Brock, who was filled with anger for Spider-Man, and so much hate that he just wanted to kill him. The thing that makes Venom different to other heroes is that when he's Eddie Brock, he is filled with rage to kill Spider-Man. He doesn't want to kill other people, he's kind of a dark vigilante as Eddie Brock. But when it comes to Spider-Man, he just wants death. When Venom is hosted by Matt Gargan, who used to be the Scorpion, then he is just a pure villain. That's it. I'm not a hero, he's just a villain. But with his latest host, Flash Thompson, the Venom symbiote is being guided towards doing what is right, even if that is near impossible for the symbiote itself. So Venom's relationships with normal heroes usually revolve around him trying to kill Spider-Man, at least in the early days. So it would often be that he would try and kill Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man would get the Human Torch because the symbiote hates fire. Now though, under the guidance of Flash Thompson, Venom interacts with thousands of heroes. He's worked with Captain America on the Secret Avengers. He's worked with Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon on Guardians of the Galaxy. Flash Thompson has near reformed the symbiote. So the bad things about Venom,
Constantly trying to kill Spider-Man?
that I would probably say is up there. Yeah. He's also spawned the symbiote Carnage, which is the symbiote's child. And Carnage, as bad as Venom is just the worst. The Carnage symbiote bonds to a serial killer called Cletus Cassidy, who wreaks havoc everywhere he goes, and that is something that Venom is constantly trying to make up for. The good things that Venom has done are perhaps more difficult to assign to Venom, although saying that, this time with Agent Venom has seen him save the galaxy many times and work with the Avengers, and even Matt Gargan's time on the Dark Avengers, working with Norman Osborn, saw him save the world, whether that was intentional or not. Venom goes on the anti-hero list tentatively, so tentatively that even when Agent Venom joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, Tony Stark gives Star-Lord a kill switch, just in case the good guy goes bad. So last on our list, Steve, at number 5, comes perhaps the original comic book anti-hero.
Walter Kovacs.
Rorschach.
Walter Kovacs was a boy who grew up with nothing. His abusive mother was a prostitute, and the things he saw as a child made him grow up with a deep resentment for those he saw as corrupt. He is different to other heroes because although in the beginning he used similar methods to other heroes, after one case where a girl was kidnapped, killed, eaten by dogs, and then had her corpse incinerated, Rorschach snapped. And that was the day that Walter Kovacs died and Rorschach was born. His time as a hero helped many people, and the keeping of his journal has the potential to reveal the schemes of Ozymandias to the world. It is his determination that drives the story of Watchmen, and without him, evil would go unopposed. His methods are notoriously brutal and illegal given the banning of the superheroes. It's his view of the world that also suggests he's not much of a hero anymore. In his opening speech, he lists a section of people who will ask for his help, and he shall say no. So ironically, at the end of Watchmen, where everyone else leaves their heroic ideals behind to join Ozymandias' new world order, it is Rorschach who refuses to compromise. Whilst everyone else steps into the grey, he will not. Whilst his methods are questionable, Rorschach knows in his heart what is right and what is wrong, and on that he will not budge.
Thank you for joining us on Awful Commentary for our top 5 anti-heroes. Join us next time where we will look possibly at our most villainous villains or our most heroic of heroes.